Jai Masters. There are two very distinct stages of the path to liberation. One is willful, and the other is completely beyond will. They don't talk about the second phase because very few people are able to handle the first. There is a time where your will is necessary in order to free yourself from all these lower habits and drives, desires and fears and anxieties and preferences and hopes and dreams. All the stuff that we build up inside requires will and the proper application of will to free oneself from all of that. You'll never get 100%, but once you come to where the major part of your being is free of that, you will find that will gets in the way. You will not will your way to God. You will not will your way to liberation, because will has you doing something, and you can't be doing anything to go beyond yourself. So there's the line. Like I said, why teach that? Because people can't even begin to handle the willful effort that it takes to free themselves of themselves. So let's start. First of all, what is will? It's something that only you know about, because it doesn't exist out here. And scientists can't really study it because it's not physical. It's not out here. But you know about it. Why? Because it's your will. And you deal with it all the time, period. So, first of all, where does will come from? Every one of you, or you wouldn't be here, understand the concept of witness consciousness, of awareness of being that is able to watch your mind and either go with it or let go, watch your heart and see what it's going through and either go with it or let go, watch all the messages from your body, from the tiniest little cut or sore that you don't like, a mosquito bite, let's say, to some bigger thing, and either you freak out over it and get all involved in it, or you say, yep, there's always something, and you let it go. So that is an application of will. It is a choice of will of which of these things you do with what's going on inside of you. Where does will come from? Very few people know the answer to that question. But somebody who meditates deeply, a yogi, I use the word yogi to represent all the traditions that can go deep, realizes and has realized that will is a power that emanates from consciousness. Will is not separate from consciousness. Just like the sun is not separate from the rays that it emanates. They are one. It's just emanating its power outwardly. The rays don't go away. They emanate from the sun. And that will, this power you call will, this power you use inside to do things and not do things, etc., is a power of concentrated consciousness. Like I said, only you go very deep and the disturbance goes away, and then you'll see something, one disturbance instead of 7 million, and you'll feel the will come out of your center of self, emanate out, project out, to deal with whatever it is that entered your mind or your heart. And you have the ability to release it, and then you feel it come back. Some people ask, how do you know these things? The same way you know if somebody touches you that it touched you. The same way you know if there's a smell that you smell the smell. You experience them. Where did great yogis learn all of this? Way before Freud, before everything. Because this is inner stuff, and you're conscious and aware of it. The problem is there's so much noise in there, so many thoughts, so many emotions, so many things coming in from your body and the outside world, that the consciousness is distracted from its seat of self and is all involved in what it's conscious of instead of the consciousness itself. So I'm going to jump way ahead and say, when you are conscious of just being conscious, you will see that if the mind is empty and then something comes up, a thought forms or an emotion starts to form. It doesn't like slow motion when you go really deep. you will see that the tendency is for this power to concentrate on it, and that emanation of consciousness onto the object of consciousness is the power of will. And if you get involved in it, suppression means I'm going, you don't say it purposely, it just happens, that I'm going to concentrate on this thing that I don't like. Really interesting. I don't know why you concentrate if you don't like it. It's a silly thing to concentrate on, but believe me, you do. The moment it disturbs you enough, you get distracted, and all of your attention focuses on it. And then I don't want to experience it. What does that mean? You're obviously experiencing it. You wouldn't be dealing with it. You obviously know it's happened. It's going on inside of you. You're feeling this disturbance. So don't tell me you don't want to experience it. You are experiencing it. But what you don't want is that it come all the way back to your seat of consciousness, to where you're totally experiencing it, to where everything is coming in fully, and then it will pass through, but no way. I'm not letting it go that far back. It's too scary. It's too strong. You do it all the time. You hear me? I'm not talking about some yogi off somewhere. You do this all the time, all right? And if it's not comfortable in there, you push it away. You suppress it, repress it, resist it, call it whatever you want. You push it away. Why? It happened. It's in there. You can't not experience it because you're experiencing it. Yes, but I don't have to let it all the way in. That's how I describe it. I don't have to let it all the way in. If you throw something at me, a wall or some piece of wood or something, I'm going to throw my arms up to protect myself. That's what you're doing inside. When this thing comes in from outside and formulates in your mind or a heart, emotion, so this thought or emotion comes up that's uncomfortable, you don't want it to touch you. You don't want it to come in. But don't tell me you don't want to experience it, because you are experiencing it. Do you see the difference? If you weren't experiencing it, why are we having a discussion? You have already experienced it. It is in there, disturbing you. What do you do about it? Push it away. That is your natural doesn't mean good. It is your instinctual or default reaction is to keep it at a distance from you. And that, in the end, if you do that seriously enough, is what Freud was talking about repression and suppression. But he never talked about who did it. He just talked about the effect of it. I love Freud a lot, okay? But that's the truth. If you study Freud, he didn't say who is suppressing it. He just said you suppress it. And then it's stuck down there and it bothers the rest of your life and causes all kinds of trouble. Okay, that's what psychology is built on. Well, it is will that is used as the power to push away this experience that's happening inside of you. And I just described to you, what do you mean it's will? What is will? It is the power that emanates from consciousness. When you concentrate consciousness, is a power. You're very advanced. I'm going to take you very advanced. In the ancient scriptures of yoga, thousands of years ago, thousands, they didn't say consciousness by itself. They said chit, which is consciousness in Sanskrit, shakti, which is energy. It's called chit shakti. What is that? Conscious energy. Consciousness is not just awareness, it is power. It has power. So chit shakti, it's like electromagnetism. Scientists used to think there was a force called electricity, and there was a force called magnetism. And they built their models based on these two forces, magnetism and electricity. They then realized at some point they were the same force, the exact same force. If you come at that force from this angle, it behaves like magnetism. You come at the force from this angle, it behaves like electricity. In fact, those of you who are into science understand that you can take wires, wrap them around a coil, and then spin them around a magnet, and electricity will come out. And you can take electricity and pass it through a coil and create an electromagnet. The exact same mechanisms, just depends on whether you're coming in this way or that way. And they build this stuff. And so now scientists call the force electromagnetism. This is the same. Chit Shakti. That's the name for God. That is the underlying force of the universe that is conscious. And when the consciousness at all concentrates, you can concentrate your consciousness, can't you? You can look at the whole room, or you can look at one picture. Your consciousness can expand and contract. If you take sunlight, it doesn't cause any major damage. Maybe it's a little hot nowadays, but if you take a magnifying glass and you put it in front of that sunlight, it becomes a tremendously powerful force, doesn't it? It because you concentrated the force that was spread. It's the same thing with Chit Shakti. If you concentrate your consciousness, you have also concentrated the energy. And that is the power of will. Nobody talks about this. Do you get it? That's why will comes from way back here. And you push things away and you do things. You're doing that with this power of consciousness. So basically, that is what will is. It is concentrated consciousness focused on either a thought, an emotion, your body. Yogananda once said that not a single thing takes place, not a movement in your body, not a thought, nothing, except that will. When I move my arm, all right, I didn't mean to get scientific with you, but I'm sorry. Does my arm have mass, or is it weightless? It has mass. Doesn't it require energy to move mass? It doesn't just move by itself, all right? Well, I just move my arm. Where's the coal plant? Where's the solar panels? What's going on here? Where does this energy come from? Where's the electricity? Where's anything? I just used energy to force my arm to move. What is that energy? Chit Shakti. In the end, it is that energy that you are focused. You don't realize you're focused. It's so natural to you. But if you get sick or something, it won't be natural to move your arm. You have to concentrate. You may have to concentrate to lift your leg or to do this. And so you'll realize it takes willpower. What does that mean? Just here, I'm doing physical therapy, let's say. Concentrate. Concentrate on lifting your right arm. What is that? Oh my God, you're using these words and I don't know what they're talking about. Why would concentrating make my arm move? When you concentrate, you are sending Chit Shakti. Where consciousness goes, energy goes. They are the same force. So when you concentrate on your arm, you are sending energy, more energy than it normally took. You normally can do it automatically. That is will. It's all will. You use will all the time. It's an amazing thing. It's so natural, you don't think about it. But where I know you think about it, although you don't do anything about it, we'll talk about that, is when something comes in from the outside world or spontaneously pops up in your mind, it gets in your mind and it's troublesome. You use will. There's not one. Maybe you've meditated a real long time, but I'm not sure we've done enough, any of us, to where when it comes in and it's really disturbing, you see your boyfriend walking with somebody else, turns out it's his sister, but that doesn't matter, all right? It's like this stuff starts coming up, correct? Well, you just leave it alone, don't you? It just goes right through and doesn't touch anything. You don't have to do anything, do you? That's hilarious, isn't it? There's no way you can let it just pass through. Why? It's disturbing, and you don't want to be disturbed. Therefore, you use instinctually almost, you use your consciousness, your awareness of being to push it away. And that's what you're doing. I'd almost want to stop the discussion right here. Do you notice you do that? I sometimes ask people, do you have hands in there? Not these hands, the ones in there that can push things around. Yes or no? That's will. That is the power of will. In the Bible it says, you were given free will. You weren't you? Free will doesn't mean I can make the mountain move. Free will means you are in here and you have power. You are not helpless in there. And you use it all the time. How you use it, that's a whole other question. Whether you use it properly is another question. But you use it all the time. Let's say you got a drinking problem or a drug problem and you're trying to break it. What will they teach you? It takes willpower. They use these words. I don't know what they're talking about. What does that mean? Where is it? What do you mean it takes willpower? It means there's going to be a disturbance coming up in you, which is an urge to take the drink or to do the drug. Yes or no? Or any habit we have. Those are just strong ones. And I'm going to be driven to do that as a pull. Can you resist that pull? Yes. Is that what they mean when they say it takes willpower to break these habits? Yes. It means you have this habit flow. They talk about neural pathways or stuff like that. You just have habits that you've built inside your mind. We'll get to that shortly. Inside your mind and inside your heart. And even your body has habits. I remember when I was in freshman or sophomore in college, I used to study like this, with this leg bouncing up and down. I'll never forget that. And he's studying. All the time I would do that. And I couldn't make it stop. I don't do it anymore. I don't know when I stopped it. But it just did that while I was studying. It's called a habit. It's something going on that if you try to stop it, you get all weird. So the only way you could try to stop it means apply will. It means concentrate on this leg and say, excuse me, Mr. Leg, I don't want you bouncing up and down. Go down, boy. Down, boy. That's all will. Asserting this power of will, and you concentrate your consciousness on it, and then you try to make the muscles not do that. Okay, so we understand what will is. Very deep. Very deep. You're in there, you are conscious, and because you're conscious, you're really Chit-Shakti. It's conscious energy. They're the same thing, energy and consciousness. So when you focus consciousness on a disturbance you don't like in your mind, you push it away. I don't have to go that far. Do any of you know how to do math? If I ask you, I'm going to do a hard one. If I ask you to multiply 8 times 4, you may have to think about it. And if I said 208 times 14, I guarantee you're thinking about it. And so you're sitting in there and you try to visualize it. You try to hold the thought. Can you hold 214, 214, there it is on the blackboard of your mind, times 14? Can you carry it and pull it through? Don't answer me. I don't want anybody to get embarrassed. I don't want anybody being proud. I don't mean anything. I'm just telling you, you're going to use will. You're going to use will to try and keep that thought in your mind. So a moment ago, I talked about pushing it out of your mind. Now I'm talking about holding it in your mind. Have you ever tried to remember something that didn't come up? What somebody looked like, or what their name was, or what the phone number was? You use will. You're just so used to it, and nobody talks to you about it. What are you doing in there when you try to remember? You're trying to concentrate on something to make it come back up. You're literally sending your conscious energy into your memory bank and hoping this thing pops back up. You don't know how to get it. I know I used to do this, and I stopped because it was not healthy. If I couldn't remember something, I would go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and see if it popped up. You all do your own things, don't you? That's an act of will, isn't it? That didn't just happen by itself. You applied your will to try and make something happen. Isn't that beautiful? All right, so now we know what willpower is. So what does it mean that the major part of your path is all about will? What do you mean it's all about will? You have developed habits. I don't care if they're physical habits. I don't care if they're thought habits. I don't care if they're emotional habits. You have developed habits so that when you hear a noise, you get scared. She hears a noise, she gets excited. Well, what's that all about? Somebody says to you, hey, you want to go to a movie? What movie? The one with such and such playing? No, I don't want to go. I don't see that. Yeah, I really want to go. What is that? What's going on there? Basically, you have developed habits, habitual ways of thinking, habitual ways of feeling, and habitual ways of carrying your body and behaving. Okay, do you like getting what you like? Do you like it if you get what you like? Yeah. Do you like getting what you don't like? No. Do any of you use will to get what you want? Do any of you use will to try and not get what you don't want? In fact, that's your life. Do any of you use will to try to decide what you want? Any of you use will to try to make sure to decide what you don't want? And then use will to try to make what you want happen, and use will to try to make what you don't want not happen? Can I say to you that that's 99% of your entire life and will be for the rest of your life if you're not careful? That's what you'll be doing. You'll be out there manipulating, deciding, conjuring, and you have trouble making decisions. What do? You use your will to think of it this way. Use your will to create it that way. Use your will. You just use your will all the time. That's what you're doing in there. Just like a fish doesn't know they're in water because they never got out. You don't know how much will you use all the time. So use the will. Try to decide what you want, what you don't want. How do you decide what you want or don't want? A lot of times you visualize it. You think about it and see how it feels. Just like you try clothes on and look at them. Say, do I like this? You try thoughts on. You want to go to Hawaii or Alaska? Give me a second to think about it. You had to think about it, and now you come back and say, I want to go to Alaska. I said, did you know it's minus 43 out there right now? No, I want to go to Hawaii. That's how fast it can change. It's like you're just in there trying to figure it out, and you're using will. You use will to work with your thoughts. You use will to work with your emotions. You use will to do things outside. Okay, now, where did your preferences come from? Because they run your life. Your preferences run your life. Just admit it to me. If you get what you like it. If you don't get what you like, you don't like it. If you get what you don't like, you really don't like it. And so now you're going to behave accordingly. Therefore, it's pretty important that you figure out how you decided what you like. Who did all this? What is this all about? Can it happen that you think you go on a date and you think you like somebody, and they slurped their soup. And you thought you liked them, and it was fun. The movie was good, and this conversation was good, and when there's this slurping, and no way, bye-bye, no slurping of soup. Where did you get these preferences? Do you have them? Do they change what it feels like in there? Do you use will based on those? Yes. I just described your entire life, by the way. Where did you get the preferences? Those preferences are impressions that you learned. If your Uncle George wore bow ties and you thought it was the most adorable thing and he pinched your cheek and you loved it and he brought you bubble gum and that's your Uncle George, some guy shows up in a bow tie, it's beautiful, okay? And if Uncle George was not so nice and he picked on you and he fought with your parents and it was always a problem when he came home with that stupid bow tie, now somebody shows up with a bow tie, no way. Hey, get this guy out of here. I'm sorry, I said we'd go on the date. Have I exaggerated? Wake up. You did not decide what you like. That's a tough one, isn't it? And now you're going to go out to devote your life to get what you like. You did not decide what you like. It is learned. You see a movie, you read a book, somebody behaves a certain way, you dated somebody, have an ex-husband or an ex-wife, and now get set up on a blind date and find out that the person has characteristics that are similar to your ex. Not a chance. You're not going to sit there and say, oh boy, this is an opportunity to work through my stuff. You're going to go right with your preferences. Your heart's going to open or close, and your mind is going to puke or get excited. That's a learned thing. All of these thoughts, all of these emotions, all of these patterns are learned. And what happens is they're so strong. Remember we talked about what it means to get off a drug, what it means to get off habits? They're strong. They're strong. Therefore, even if you try to get off them, it causes so much disturbance that you give in. It pulls you right back in. People have trouble eating. They eat too much. They eat too little. Whatever the heck it is. It's not easy. People smoke. There's a good one. Most of you guys don't smoke. It's not easy to stop smoking. It takes willpower. What does that mean? It means if I try to not do the habitual flow that's happening, it will fight with me. It was almost like it's got a mind of its own. It starts pulling on me and causing me to get spacey and feel sick, and I get uncomfortable, don't I? And you give me the cigarette? Oh, that is going to run your life if you let it. Is there anything wrong with that? Of course not. But you are going to be the lowest common denominator. Whatever it is that these preferences that you learned and these little idiosyncrasies and personality traits and all that kind of stuff, if the world happens to be matching them, you're having a good day. This is all working out. I like it. The happy time for me. If the world is not unfolding, and the world can be one person, the world could be the weather, the world can be anything. If it's not going the way I like, I'm not doing well. And now you're at the mercy of the marriage between your preferences and reality. Reality is going to unfold. You try all you want, reality always wins. The weather is going to be what it is, but I don't want it to rain. Not on my birthday. It doesn't know it's your birthday, and it doesn't care. And that's true of almost all things in life. Why is reality the way it is? Why is the moment in front of me being the way it is? If you want to answer that, you better study physics, psychology, history, meteorology. In other words, because there are events that took place before this that caused this. How many events? Oh, I don't know, 700 billion trillion. And going back how far? From the beginning of time. Things happened, and they caused other things to happen, and they caused other things. Here, I got in a car accident. Well, you call it an accident, but the truth of the matter, what happened is your car was made, and when the brakes were put in, the person who was putting the brakes in had a fight with their wife the night before. And they weren't totally conscious. They weren't practicing mindfulness. And the cotter pin wasn't fully opened and locked in place. And so all this time, everything worked until it fell out and your brakes did not work and you got in an accident. How many forces had to happen? And why did you get in the fight with the wife? I don't know, because her mother said she didn't like you, and this, and why the mother not like you, because you reminded her of her first husband. And how far back you want to go? That's why things happen. So if you say that reality has to match what I made up based on my past experiences, you lose. Because it won't, will it? But I can try to make it have fun. I can apply my will. I might get ulcers. I might worry. I might worry that it's not going to happen. What is a worry? I am thinking that what I want might not happen. I'm worrying that what I don't want might happen. Yep, there's a real possibility in it. The world is unfolding in front of you because of the reality that is unfolded. There's a line in the Bhagavad Gita that's so beautiful. Krishna says to Arjuna, he says, Arjuna, his spiritual son, says, that which is will be, and that which is not won't be. What's so difficult about that? Pretty simple stuff. That's how it is. That which happened, happened. That which didn't happen, didn't happen. But I don't like it. I wanted it to. Boy, that's a problem. Why? It didn't happen. But I wanted it to. Okay, have fun, because you won't. Now we're talking spiritual. That's why I'm having this talk with you. If you're going to get caught up in these habits and habitual ways of thinking and feeling and all this stuff, and then it's so strong that it distracts your consciousness to where what you use your will is not to free yourself. You use your will to do what it tells you to do, like a kid throwing a tantrum. Basically, you have these tendencies, you know you do. They are learned. That's a very important thing to understand. And if you sit there and say, but I've been this way ever since I was little, okay, that's probably when it started. That's probably when you learned it. Somehow you think, but I've always been that way. Since when? Since 3. I remember it was my 3rd year birthday party. Okay, what happened? Now we're going to be Freud. What happened at your 3rd year birthday party that made you not like redheads or whatever the heck it is, or not like cake of that type? Something happened, you hear me? And now you're 43 years old. That was 40 years ago. And you're telling me, but I've always been that way. And when you say that, that's supposed to be holy. The fact that you've always felt that way means it's real. No, it means you're 43 years old and you're letting a 3-year-old decide how you think. So you wake up and you look at this and you realize that's what's happening. I'm in here, I have experiences, and I have will, but the will has become habit-formed will. That basically, when something bothers me, I go down to it and try to push it away and try to manipulate. Don't say that. You shouldn't have said that. Apologize. Right now. Whoa, what does that mean? You said something. I took it a certain way. You probably didn't mean it that way, believe me. But it hit some of my stuff. Now I'm getting all freaked out in here. I don't know how to deal with that. So you deal with it. Say you're sorry. And that's what you're saying to the person. I can't fix it inside of me. It's all freaked out. I don't know what to do with it. So you fix it. I don't even know you. Too bad. Hurry. Hurry up. The longer it stays in there, the worse it is. And you just start realizing what's going on in there. And so you have all these habits, we'll call them habits, habitual thought patterns, habitual motion patterns. Do you? Do you have habitual motion patterns? You tend to be more sensitive about something than somebody else, and so on and so forth. Those are habits. They're learned. They're like a stream. You know, we have some nice hills in the countryside out here. And if water starts to flow down the grass on a particular path, following the curve, the next time it rains, it's going to flow that way again, because that's the path of least resistance. That's what a habit is, the path of least resistance. So now it goes that way, and then if it rains again, pretty soon I have a gully, and now it's going to always go that way, unless I apply will to fill the dirt up and dig another hole, to have it drain the way I want it to. That's exactly what's happening inside of you. Your consciousness got drawn down to something that disturbed you, and therefore you put energy into it. And so therefore it carved deeper inside your psyche. And so now when something happens that hits it, it creates all this noise, and it pulls your consciousness down again. And the more you pay attention to it, the more you give into it, the stronger the habit is. Decide, I'm not going to smoke. And you don't smoke for days and days. You do well. It's hard at first. It's real hard at first. And then you get over a certain hump, and it's kind of easier. And you feel like I got this thing beat. All right, now, have a cigarette. It will undo everything you did. That one cigarette will undo everything you did for those months where you stopped smoking, because it brings the habit back up, and it will be just as strong as it was. Will it be easier to have the second cigarette if you have the first? You live in there. Pay attention. So the spiritual path in the beginning, it's not about renunciation. It is not, I won't do this, I won't do this, I won't do this, I'm not supposed to. No, that's not enough. You just watch and you see, yes, it's true. I've developed these flows of energy, these habit flows of energy. Are they helping you? I want you to decide. So you look at it and you say, I have a habit of eating a lot of sugar and I don't feel well. And you go to a doctor, you take a lab test, and you see, well, your sugar level is very high. No wonder you feel spacey. No wonder you get tired in the middle of the day, and so on. And you actually understand that this is not good for you. This is not healthy. Spirituality is wisdom, not renunciation, wisdom. You're in there. Yes, you have these habits. Don't yell at them. Don't feel bad about them. They just reality. That's part of reality, right? You have habitual thought patterns and emotion patterns and things that are not so healthy, are they? They mess up your relationships. You know, you're in a relationship, it's all working out, and somebody doesn't do what you thought they should do. Notice you thought they should do. You're about to ruin your relationship just because somebody didn't do what you thought they should do, and you have no control. You get all moody, you get all hurt. Why? I don't know. They forgot something. They didn't say something. I don't know. Doesn't take much, does it? Come on. The more you love somebody, the more exposed you are, the more open you are, the more you think your expectations should be met. If you're my soulmate, you know what I want and what I need. I don't care that I didn't tell you. You can figure it out, and you better figure it out, or you're not my soulmate. And so basically, now you're about to ruin your relationship by making a big deal out of nothing. People do it all the time. So you have to watch this and decide, do I want to go with this? So now I have realized that eating sugar, definitely I see it. I see the lab tests, and I see I get tired, and I say I'm not doing so well. And I understand. No one had to tell me. I understand. I need to cut back on the sugar. I need to cut back on the candy or whatever the heck it is. Then that's not renunciation, because you decided this for yourself. Now let's see you do it. Now all of a sudden you're going to sit there and say, yeah, I'm going to stop the sugar. Yeah, until you have dinner and you want some chocolate, or somebody says something to you and you got upset. Chocolate's good medicine, right? And so basically you're having trouble. I like that. I want to talk about that. What do you mean I'm having trouble? This is your house. You're the only one who lives in there. How could you have trouble? For the same reason that water is going to flow down that rut next time it rains. You have carved these, I don't want to call them neural pathways, but they are. You have carved energy flows, and they're habitual, and it will flow that way. And you know that. Somebody says something, bam, right away you react. How many times have you reacted and found out they were wrong? They didn't even say what you thought they said. Okay. So basically you have these habit-formed patterns in your mind, in your heart, and in your body that react that way, and it is difficult to change them. Well, if you don't change them, guess what's going to happen? They're going to stay the same. I'm sorry. In order to go to the deeper places we're going to talk about, remember I said it starts with will, but in the end it's not? You'll never go there. If you can't overcome these patterns and liberate yourself, free yourself from yourself. Freedom doesn't mean the freedom to get what you want. It means the freedom from yourself. It's not freedom for yourself, it's freedom from yourself. So basically you reach a point where you realize, I'm going to work with this. With what? With these patterns. They're not your enemy, they're just patterns that got learned. So if I can work with them and learn how to develop the strength of will, the strength of center, now the question becomes, what do I do with them? The first tendency is to go with them. Let's get that straight. That's the path of least resistance. Just give it to me. Give me the chocolate. Oh, I feel so much better. And you do feel better. Of course you feel better. You're satisfying the habitual flow. But you said it wasn't good for you. I didn't tell you. You decided. That's how I wanted to be. You decide. That's the only way it really works. What's the second thing you do instead of going with it? You suppress it. What do you mean? I'm not supposed to eat chocolate? I'm not going to eat chocolate? Get it away from me. I don't want the chocolate. And you sit there and try to push the tendency away from you so that you're not doing it, but you're not getting rid of it. You're suppressing it. In some cases, that's the best you can do. At least I'm not feeding it. At least I'm not going with it and going through the same patterns of problems that caused all the trouble in my life before. And so you push it away. The highest way to deal with it is to let it go. What do you mean? There's energy pulling you in that direction. But you're the consciousness. You're aware that the energy is pulling you that way. Don't go with it, because then you're not you. You're it. It's running your life. That's how most people are. So basically, you go with it, fine. You got some work to do. Second, you decide, I don't want to go with it, and you suppress it. That may look good to the rest of society. It ain't healthy, and it ain't spiritual. Okay? You may temporarily have to do that, as opposed to feeding the habit. You just hold it at bay. But that's not going to solve anything. It builds up down there, and sometimes it blows up. And the next thing you know, there's anger, or there's drives, or there's uncontrollable things. I don't know where that comes from. I know where it came from. It came from the fact that you've been pushing all that stuff down there your whole life, and now Mount Vesuvius blew up, okay? So what is the healthy way, the spiritual way to deal with it? First, maybe you'll have to meditate, maybe mantra, use different techniques, up to you. Are you conscious? What do you mean? Can you see that you're starting to get angry? Can you see that the drive is starting to happen? Can you see that the urges and tendencies, you know what they look like. They don't all of a sudden overcome you. They start. You feel it down there. You feel it coming up. Can you make a commitment to be the consciousness that is noticing that this is happening, and commit to yourself, I'm not going to touch it? Now, you'll see I'll make this easier for you. Don't think of the big stuff right now. I'm not going to touch it. What do you mean? If it comes up, I'm not going to use my inner hands to go with it or to push it away. What are you going to do? I'm going to let it pass through me. I stored it down there originally because I couldn't handle it. So I pushed it away. And now it caused all these disorders and problems and neuroses and anxieties and all the stuff. And so now I'm more older. Maybe it happened when I was 5, whatever it was. But I'm older and I'm conscious. Older means more mature spiritually. And I can handle this. I don't want it down there. I don't want this running my life. So I used to teach sit on your hands. If you sit on your hands, you can't do anything. You can sit on your inner hands. Don't let them touch it. And I'm telling you what it will do. It will come up. Of course it'll come up because it's trying to come up. If you push it away, it'll either go out and release itself externally so that it feels better, but only for a moment. It will come right back to that single thing that you ever... If you take the kettle and stop holding your finger over the part that whistles, it'll whistle. Good. Stick your finger back on. Take your finger off, it's going to whistle again. If the energy builds up down there, it's going to need to come back up. So suppression doesn't work. And expression just releases it temporarily, but it did nothing about its cause, about the underlying root reason why it is the way it is. The highest technique is to be able to sit inside in the seat of consciousness and don't touch it as it's coming up. What will happen? It will come up. Well, now what do I do? Leave it alone. What will it do? It will release. It will release up. And that is a very spiritual thing, to release it up. It may take a few times, but if you do this, you're going to find out you change. You change. If you come and tell me you're meditating 6 hours a day, I used to do that. I'm not impressed. But if you come and tell me, something happened yesterday, Mickey, and I think the techniques are working. I said, what do you mean? I don't know. An event happened at work, and I didn't think anything of it. And when I was driving home, I realized that would have freaked me out a year ago. And I didn't even notice that it happened. It just went right through. Now, that's growth. That's spiritual growth. You released enough of your stuff to where more of the world fits in you. It all can fit through. So as you release this stuff when it comes up, that's what you use your will for. You don't use your will to push it away. You don't use your will to fight. You use your will to relax. Relax. But it won't relax. I didn't ask it to relax. Of course, it won't relax. It's disturbance. Disturbance doesn't not get disturbed. But you don't have to be disturbed by the disturbance. You are the consciousness that is experiencing the disturbance. You have the right to use your will to relax. People say to me, but if it's disturbing, I want to do something about it. Yes, do something about it. Relax. You relax. The one that's experiencing it, not the experience. The one that's experiencing it has the right to relax. That's how you use your will. That's how yogi use the will. That's the highest way to use your will. It's called letting go, surrendering, acceptance. I don't know what you want to call it, but it means I'm changing because I'm not going with these habitual patterns that are causing disturbance. Now, first of all, relax. You can't do that with all the stuff you have inside of you. I know that, you know that, and that's why it scares you. So in the new book, Living Untethered, I say that it's a step-by-step process. Don't start with the father that used to mistreat you or with this or with that. Don't start with your ex-husband, your ex-wife. Start with something I call low-hanging fruit. Start with something that's so easy that it's like practicing the piano. It's like practicing your scales. Don't start with Beethoven or Mozart, please. Just start with some scales. What does that mean? It's hot out today. Can you handle it? No. Well, then you're not going to be a very happy camper because it is hot out. And you saying no doesn't help the matter one iota. It just makes it be disturbing inside. So you're now in here. You're not going to lie to yourself that it's hot. There's just an example of low-hanging fruit. What is the benefit of not liking the heat if you're outside? How did that help you to not like it? What's the cost? You get all upset. You get disturbed. And you stay disturbed, by the way. You tell everybody how hot it was. Even during air conditioning, oh my God, this is so nice. It was so bad out there. So now you've made yourself miserable, and there was no benefit. None. Zero. So you look at it, and you say, can I handle this heat? If you decide to, it's a very good thing to do. It's like practicing the piano or practicing tennis. And you sit there, and you feel the heat, and you feel this uncomfortableness, and you relax inside. You don't try to not have it feel uncomfortable. You just relax. I am capable of experiencing that the heat is uncomfortable. I don't have to get uncomfortable. I'm not experiencing that it's uncomfortable. I'm fine with the experience. I've shared with you before. I very much like astronomy, and also I'm intellectually oriented. And so what I do if he gets like that, and I don't have to do it much anymore because he doesn't get like that, but I trained him. I sit there and say, oh, slow down, Mick, slow down. Why is it hot? Because the thermostat, no, that's not why it's hot. That's a measurement of how hot it is. Why is it hot? And he just starts to smile because there's this star 93 million miles away. Oh my God, that's a long ways away. And it's so hot that I feel it here on Earth, 93 million miles away. Is that pretty neat? And it's not the sun, it's a star. I like stars. How about you? Well, we all like stars. And so you use your intellect, your abstract mind, to abstract beyond these stupid little physical things that are just reality. And you enjoy. If you do that, I can stand there and feel the rays pouring. I mean, that's starshine. You're close enough to a star that you can feel it coming down on you. All of a sudden, you change the whole formula because you accepted it and processed it in a positive way. It doesn't leave negative impressions on you. You might even look forward. Hey, it's going to be 102 today. I wonder what that's going to feel like. This will be a lot of fun. And you just use your mind for something healthy instead of using your mind to resist and fight reality. Because it doesn't do any good to fight reality. It's still 102. So there's lots of examples like that. The examples I always use are the weather. In the book, I sit there and say the weather is one of the most beneficial spiritual processes if you use it properly. It basically says, accept it. It's raining, but it shouldn't be. You know, it is. And if you checked it out, you'd find that it should be. It exactly fits the weather patterns. It's just the way it needs to be. You're the problem, not it. And you just do this. The other one I always use is the driver in front of you. I don't know about you guys, but, you know, if that driver in front of you is driving weird, like driving 20 miles an hour below the speed limit and you're in a rush, or if you're in a rush and the light starts to change and you think you can make it but you're not sure what to do, you can get all weird because of driving, can't you? What good did it do? And so you basically sit there and you say, I'm going to work with myself with this low-hanging fruit. I'll work with using my will to free myself instead of using my will to store more junk inside of me and not be able to handle what's going on. And you just make it a video game. It's a video game. Some people like video games. They play them all the time. That's a video game. You know, Pac-Man's trying to eat you. You got negative thoughts. You got all kinds of stuff going on in there. Work with it, raise it up, work with it, let it go. If you do that, you will find out that when the old stuff comes up, that right now freaks you out, you don't even want to think about it. You'll find out that because you developed a technique of how to sit consciously, relax, and give it the room to release. There's only one reason it's stored in there. If it didn't happen right now, if it happened before, and that's what's stored in there is before, it's because you're holding it in there. You listen to me. There's no super glue in there. There's no fly paper. There's nothing inside your mind holding the bad experience that you had before except you. Your will. Your will. And if you doubt it, wait till you see when it starts coming up. Bam! You push it down, don't you? Somebody says something, and you sit there, well, I need a minute. I need a minute to breathe, push it down. Okay, I'm fine. Don't call that spiritual. It's better than hitting them. The best you can do is that, okay? Fine. But when you have a moment, notice, remember, I pushed that down there. I don't want that down there. It will be down there for the rest of my life. There's no way. Do something to release it. Forgive the person. That's why forgiveness is good. If you say, okay, fine, they had a bad day, I can forgive them. The truth is, you should be forgiving yourself for messing yourself up by what somebody else did. It really has nothing to do with what they did. You're the one that couldn't handle it. That's how I look at it. I'm sitting on a planet, spinning in the middle of nowheres. I should be able to handle it. You're an empty space, and I won't be here very long. How about you? 60, 80, 90 years. The planet's 4.5 billion years old. Don't worry, you won't be here very long. So do you want to have a good time or not? Stop using your will to screw yourself up. And more you'll find that you developed will to let go. You developed the will to let go. Not just I want to, you learned how to. And that's spirituality. And now we'll close it down. You let go, you let go, you let go, and you're going to start finding out as you let go, there's something inside of you didn't know about. There's a river of ecstasy, a river of joy, well-being, total love and beauty flowing behind that stuff you stored down there. That stuff was like a cork. You kept pushing it down there. Now, as you let it go, you start feeling better. You start having joy and healthy, even health. Naturopathic medicine nowadays says if you shove that stuff down there, your body will get sick. So as you let go, you're getting healthy, both inside and out. And eventually enough energy comes up inside of you where you catch on. This is nice in here. It used to not be nice in there. That's why I had to smoke and drink and do drugs and lie and change people and make people be the way I want because I wasn't okay. Let's be honest. I wasn't okay. So you all changed so I can be okay. Now you are okay. Now you're feeling beauty and love and light inside. So it's not hard to let go of the outside. Like somebody says something. You say, I'm not sure what they meant. And then somebody inside says, are you willing to come down because you're not sure what they meant? No, I don't think so. I ain't coming down. How about you? I ain't coming down. Now you're getting there. And you keep letting go. You keep letting go. It's not like, but I have the right to come down. I have the right not to love you anymore. I don't like what you did. I told you I didn't like when you acted like my father. Okay, take that right. Have fun. Because you won't. You screw up your entire life. And so instead, you learn to let go. Start with the little stuff. Let go. Let go. And the bigger stuff comes up. Nah. You let it go. And you start developing this tremendous power of will deep inside, way deep inside, way behind the hands. The hands don't even come out anymore. You just relax. You keep relaxing, and it keeps letting go. And you're going to see you get higher and higher and higher. You're going to say there's a river of joy flowing inside of you. There is. You will find that. He said, find it. It's just welling up inside. It's called the rush of holy waters in the Bible. There's beauty inside of you, but you shoved all this junk on top of it. As you let it go, it comes up. Now we can talk about the second stage. Eventually it gets so high inside, and you're willing to let go of the little pings, you know what I mean, little things that hit it. You just let it go, and you get higher and higher and higher, and eventually you get really high. And you'll find out that not only is there a river of joy flowing up inside of you, and that you can keep relaxing, but that it's pulling you up away from yourself. It's like a vacuum cleaner that's pulling your consciousness, not this stuff. You already let go of the stuff. It's pulling your seat of consciousness, your essence of awareness, back into this upward flow. It's so strong. And you realize that's the spiritual ascent. Now you're talking about deep spirituality. And then you realize, are you willing to let go into it? Can you release into it? But that means dying to be reborn, not to quote somebody. It literally means letting go of yourself, not using your will to get up there or do something. You need to let go. You let go of this ignorance of thinking you're separate, and you have to watch your own mind. There's something much greater going on inside. And that's when the great ones melted back and said, your consciousness is just a drop of the ocean of consciousness. There's just consciousness. Everyone's consciousness is the same. But yours is busy looking at your stuff. Yours is busy looking at your stuff. Mine's busy looking at my stuff. So the rays of consciousness, the focus, is on each one of you. If you let go of yourself at a really deep level, but that's not will. That's not doing something. It's ceasing to do. It's called being. You're just letting go, and it pulls you up by itself. And Meher Baba, I always quote this, Meher Baba was a great avatar. He said, the first time I reached that state, he was a fully enlightened being, first time I reached that state, it was like my consciousness had been a drop of water. It fell into the ocean. Find it. You can't find that drop when it falls in the ocean, can you? And that's what Christ meant by my Father and I are one. You're a very great being. You're a very great being. You're even beyond love. You're beyond joy. You're beyond nirvana. You're beyond ecstasy. You're beyond all that. It just all merges back into the oneness. All right, there. It was all based on will now, wasn't it? But not those final steps. Those final steps, there isn't a focusing of consciousness to focus the Shakti. There's a release, just a complete release of the whole thing. And you find out who you are. Jagrative.